We are now onto the final portion of the modeling, and that is we need now to model our actual cannon. Now we have the base made up. Now it's time to get into the cannon itself. So for this, a lot of these cannons look pretty similar. I think that we can get by with some, a really simple cannon that maybe we might want to then texture in some details. Again, we are working with low poly here, so let's go ahead and start off by just we're going to model our cannon completely flat, and then once we model it flat, we will then position it at kind of a slant, as you see in many of these reference images. So I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new cylinder. Now I don't know if I quite need the cylinder to be that many sides, because right now it's 20-sided cylinder. Let's try 12. I think that will do us fine for this case. I'm going to go ahead and rotate this 90 degrees, and then in fact I'm going to actually move this a little bit kind of above. And like I said, we'll model this cylinder or this cannon completely flat, and then we will rotate as whatever angle we need later on. So I'm going to do here, I'm going to start off by just deleting all of these faces on the front. We won't be using those, at least not initially. So I'm going to delete those, and then I'm going to go ahead and bevel this back a bit. Maybe something like that will be just fine. Maybe a little bit. There you go. Then I'm going to move this front bit up a little bit, and I'm just going to start off by here's the initial dip. Now what I'm doing is I'm looking at my reference, and then I'm reacting from there. So I'm going to select this edge again, extrude that by holding shift, pull it out a bit more, and I'm going to scale this. I'm going to scale this in just a hair, and then scale it back out as we get to the end. And then when we get to the end, I do have this kind of big taper at the end I want to do here. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to scale this end, kind of make the inside of the cannon, and we'll come back through in just a little bit and actually make sure the cannon looks correct on the end there. But in the meantime, I'm just going to scale that down here, and then after I push all the way back, see, I'm gonna push back just a hair more. Yeah, there you go. So I'll do next. I want to now scale this down and just collapse all that to the center. So I'm going to now start to bevel some edges. I'm going to bevel this edge here, maybe get 2 segments. That looks to be fine. And I'm going to bevel these 2 edges here. Again, maybe 2 segments. That looks pretty good there. I think this could use a small bevel. Yeah, that looks, I like that. And then this one too, I think, have a little bit of a bevel there. We'll go a ways, and I don't know if I need anything else there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select all these edges, and I'm going to soften them, so that now will make this look more round, because it won't be as faceted. Okay, so it looks pretty good. And I'm going to start just to mark some of my hard edges here. So really, hard edges, keep in mind that's going to be where it's changing, a significant value as far as angles. So that looks pretty good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to also mark these hard edges on the going long ways. And the reason I'm doing that is so that later on when it comes to texturing or unwrapping, I should say, it'll be really easy to unwrap. So there, it's all marked. Perfect. So this obviously is too big, so I can now scale this down. I might even want to move my pivot point to maybe right here. I think it looks pretty good. So wherever I rotate, it'll be from that pivot point. Next thing I want to do is I want to make, if I'm looking at some of these other cannons, I see that there is a, and actually I might move my pivot point back just a little bit. So I'm going to move it right to here instead. Okay, so now I have it. But what I do see is that there is a, a little bit of a kind of a, I guess I don't know what to call that, but kind of a nub at the end, maybe that's what we'll call it. So I'm going to go ahead and select those faces. I'm just going to extrude this back a little bit, like so. I'm going to add in an edge, my multi-cut tool, and now extrude this out just a hair, something like that. I'm going to go ahead and remove this piece, and I'm just going to bevel this, so I get that kind of nub that you see in some of these other references. That looks pretty good. Now, as you can see here, let's see if I can go ahead and turn off this. There you go. So you can see, most of these look pretty smooth, the exception of right here. You can see it right there. It's kind of fast the edge that I was talking about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab those edges, really all these edges right here, make all those, soften them, and then we'll come back through and harden the edges that I think need to be hardened. That looks pretty good there, so then harden those edges. And now now it looks a lot nicer. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do here is make the there's like a rod that goes through here that is the pivot for this. So I'm going to just go to my cylinder, and this one I'm going to make this cylinder, and I think I'm going to stick with 12 is more than enough, and I don't know if 12, like I said, more than enough, so 12 might be too much, but for now I'm just going to stick with 12. If I need to, I can make it smaller later on. And I just want to line this up with the middle of my cannon here. There you go. Make this a little further out, and then scale it down. I think that will be, we'll start off small and then we'll make it larger in the middle as we need to. Okay, so I can see this poking through a little bit. We'll worry about that in a moment. And I want to make sure that this does go, at very least it expands just all the way across here, so that's fine there. I prefer it to overhang just a little bit. That looks pretty good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these edges, make a connection here with my connect tool. I only want 2 segments, so I enter, and then I'm going to scale those 2 segments out. And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and select all this and make it just a little bigger. So something like that's pretty good. And I think we're pretty good there. I do want to grab these. Oh no, I'll leave that as is. Okay, so now I'm going to grab this object here. As you can see, if I were to click off it, it's very, very jagged and faceted there, so therefore we need to adjust our edges. I'm just going to soften all those edges, and then I'm going to come back through and harden the ones that that need to be adjusted, so hardened here. Let's see. And then while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and harden those edges. And the reason is because that's where my seam's going to be. So there, that looks a lot nicer. So now it doesn't have that jaggedness looking we had earlier. Okay, so now I'm going to look at this real quickly from the inside. You see how this bar is sticking through. So what I'm going to do is just grab these faces here. Let's see. And I'm just gonna move them. Let's see if I can. There you go. And I'm just gonna move these faces forward just a bit to the point where I don't see it anymore. I think we're good there. Perfect. So now I'm going to select these two. I'm just gonna go to my side views fine. And I'm going to move this down. Now I may need to scale it down a little bit too, so maybe something like this might be a little more appropriate. I might want to move it back a bit as well. That looks pretty good there. Okay, I'm going to place this, as you can see that circle there is just about to touch that base of the wooden piece. So that's pretty good. Now there's one last thing I want to do here. I need to actually make these edges, because when I scaled it, the edges here no longer go all the way out. So there you go. Actually, I probably want to just grab all these edges and make them stretch out. There you go. Okay. So I do, if you were to look at, let's just say, we'll go look at this one right here. You see how there's a little bit of a kind of a metal bracket holding that in. I'm gonna go ahead and model that real quickly. It shouldn't take a whole lot of effort and shouldn't really take a whole lot of polygons. So what I can do here is I'm just gonna go to my object mode, duplicate this, and then I'm going to actually isolate it. I'm going to delete everything in the middle here, and I'm actually going to delete the two outside pieces. There you go. And next, I'm just going to grab both of these, do a connect down the middle. I think that's pretty good. And I'm just going to widen that out. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to model one and I'll just duplicate it over. Okay, so now I just have just this little bit here. And what I want to do now is I'm going to delete this bottom bit. Actually, I'm just going to delete all these bottom bits here. Like that. Looks pretty good there. And I'm going to move, I'm just going to hold my, select the two edges here. And I'm just going to scale them down like so. And so now I will actually go to unisolate this, or X isolation mode. So I'm going to hit Shift I. Oops. Let's see if I can do that right. There you go. So I left isolation mode. I'm just going to select this bit here and move it up. And I'm going to grab, let's see, my object mode, grab these two edges, move it down until it's just about to touch there, and then I'm going to, with my scale tool, holding shift, I can now scale this out. So maybe about that looks pretty good. And I might actually move these faces down a little bit more. There you go. And so I'm going to select all these faces here, and I'm going to just extrude those and extrude them out. And that actually doesn't look very good. Let's see if I can do a better job there. Not quite what I'm looking for. Let's see. Okay. So what I might do here instead, let's see what options we can come up with. I guess extrude will be our best bet here. So we're going to extrude out, and then we will just manually adjust some of these edges. So I'm going to hold my V key and just adjust that there. And so V, remember, by holding V, you're going to be able to adjust the vertex. You'll make it, it's like turn on a snap to vertex there. It looks a little nicer. And then I can also grab the faces. Let's see. I'm actually going to grab these bottom faces real quick. So I have to go to Shift I for isolation mode. I'm going to grab this face here and here, move it down a hair, and I'm gonna actually delete them because I won't even ever be able to see them. And really, I probably won't ever even be able to see these, so I might as well delete those as well. So now I'm going to, there you go. So I can actually move this over till it's about even here. I think that looks pretty good. And then what I'm going to do is go to my top view. I'm going to hold D to edit my pivot, and then hold X to lock it to the grid. X is going to be your grid, and then from there I can just go to my mirror tool, shift right click mirror, and I want to mirror it. Let's see, there you go. Okay, so now I have my Canon. I'm going to just go through here and just make sure you have your edges softened up properly. So and I don't think I had those done properly. So I'm just gonna now go there you go, it looks a little bit nicer. Same thing over here. And just grab that one and, okay. So last thing I need to do here is I'm going to go ahead and swivel my Canon. If I go my right view, I guess, I'm actually going to swivel the Canon until it just about touches there. I'm actually going to now go to my perspective view, make sure it doesn't actually touch anything else. All right. So the Canon looks pretty good. As you can see, we have the brackets holding the Canon. It all makes sense all together. Let's see, this whole entire piece is let's see if I can get a good count for you. This whole piece is less than 2,000 polygons, which isn't too bad considering, kind of a lot of cylinders are used here. I think that we have a pretty good item here to put an AR. 2,000 polygons is more than acceptable when it comes to AR. So in the next video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to take this model, we're going to make sure everything is all optimized, and then start to unwrap it. Keep in mind, unwrapping is a really important part when it comes to texturing. So make sure to follow the proper procedures and that your textures, and I'll show you what we need to do to make sure our textures are looking really great.